This was owned by the last surviving grandchild of George Holt, Miss Bear.
Right there?
Yep.
This was gifted to her as a wedding present.
We are on the $1 Million Row boat tour, Alexandria Bay, New York. Uncle Sam Boat Tours. Today is the anniversary of 16 years without a seizure.
This was owned by George Pullman, who was the inventor of the sleeper-style rail car. It was home to the first castle we had here in the region, known as Castle Rest, but unfortunately it was torn down due to a tax dispute with the town. And in 1872, Mr. Pullman held a week's convention here for President Ulysses S. Grant. At that time, there was no home on the island, so the president and his company stayed here in tents.
That's Alex Bay.
I like that one.
Now this next island coming up with those flagpoles, that is known as Navi Island. That home on the backside of Navi is one of the oldest homes here in the region. Now, Navi Island was a very popular party spot back in the day, so they had this second home built here on the front side that you will be able to see. If you take a look at those unusual stone pillars, those are made of Laurentian granite brought up from the bottom of the St. Lawrence. And the only thing that is holding those in place is the weight of the second and third floors.
Sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's nice.
This next island, that is Friendly Island. It was owned by Paul Quackenbush of Kirkham, New York. His great-grandfather was the inventor of the airsoft gun and the double-hitch nutcracker. Now it is said that this island is so friendly that if you wave to it, even the fence will wave back. Well, that joke is so bad, it's offensive.
You don't get it.
It's a joke.
Gosh.
That island with the large white anchor, that is known as St. Elmo Island. St. Elmo was a patron saint of sailors, and that anchor is there to commemorate all the men and women who have lost their lives and are still serving on the river today. Now, if you take a look to the boathouse, that is actually a miniature replica of the original home that used to sit on St. Elmo Island. But unfortunately, that was lost to a fire during the 1970s. Now, directly behind that as well as the island, that building that you see there, the cream-colored one with a brown roof, that is known as a Swiss chalet. This is where George Bolt housed the Swiss engineers and architects that were in charge of his castle. Now, today that building is used for condominiums.
My mom said, go buy all this.
It's boring.
It is boring.
So right now we are approaching the highlight of any tour here in the Thousand Islands region. It's going to be Bolt Castle on Hart Island.
That's not what I was
So
saying.
George Bolt purchased Hart Island so he could have this castle constructed for his wife because he wanted to show how much he loved and appreciated her and everything she did for him. And we love showing his affection this way so much that he purchased that other tiny island on your left with that small brown home known as just room enough for his second true love, his mother-in-law. But if you take a look, all the doorways and windows do lead right to the St. Lawrence. It was said that she was a very heavy sleepwalker. The first structure that you're going to see on Hart Island is the Arch of Honor. It was built to replicate the Arch de Triomphe in Paris, France. Well, this is where George would meet and greet his guests before taking them into his castle. To him, it was a symbol of triumph over poverty.
Oh my God, ran out of gas.
So this next structure, that is the Ulcer Tower, also known as the Children's Playhouse, to be more aptly described as George's Man Cave. Inside you'll find a 2-lane bowling alley, a billiard room, movie theater, and more, all there to entertain his guests. Well, this is the only structure that was completely finished and lived in by the Bolt family. The castle itself rises 6 stories with 122 rooms, 45 fireplaces, and 365 windows. It was said it could house 25 families aboard comfortably. The upper levels would be used for the guests. The second floor was where the Bolt family would have stayed. And then on the bottom level, you'd find the dining room, ballroom, indoor swimming pool, and the area's first elevator. Now, if you look directly between these trees, you will see those white statues and that water fountain. Well, those are the Italian gardens, and they are used for over 60 weddings here throughout the summer. The last structure on Hart Island is the pump house or powerhouse. Inside, you would have found replica chimes of those in Westminster Abbey. When they would ring, you could hear them for miles around. During the celebration of the opening of the Thousand Islands Bridge Authority, the skyrocket
my
would
drone
sway
over
and
there.
the powerhouse would
Yeah.
fire, and those chimes were to be lost forever.
Oh my god, it's sinking.
Now, we aren't going to be stopping there right now. We will be making an optional stop at the very end of our tour. But as we pass by, if you look behind it, directly on Wellesley Island, you'll see George Bolt's large yacht house. Now, those doors open all the way to the top, and that was so he did not have to lower the large wood mast of his ships before entering. So George Bolt was a Prussian immigrant. He came over to New York City at the age of 13 on a steamship. That is where he went into the hotel industry. He worked his way up from a dishwasher to the hotel manager, but he got sick of the New York City lifestyle, so he moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he tried to follow in his father's footsteps as a chicken farmer. Now that did not go very well for him, so he went back into the hotel industry working under the Bellevues. He impressed them so much that they gave him 2 things. One of them was their daughter's hand in marriage, and the next thing was 4 hotels that he later combined into 2 that we know today. Those are the Waldorf Astoria and the Bellevue Stratford. Now, he later married the Bellevue's daughter, Louise, and he purchased Hart Island in 1899 from Congressman E.K. Hart. He changed the spelling from H-A-R-T to H-E-A-R-T, and he blasted away portions of the island to resemble a Valentine's Day heart from an aerial view. The completion of the castle was set to be in February of 1904, but just 1 month and week before the completion, the workers received a telegram from George Bolt himself stating, "Halt all work, Louise has died." Louise died at the age of 43 due to complications
Oh,
of
great.
tuberculosis. The workers and everybody else were heartbroken, but they honored Mr. Bolt's wishes. They dropped their tools, left all supplies, and left the island never to return. Now, it sat untouched for many years until 1923, when E.J. Noble was the inventor of the lifesaver candy. She acquired Hart Island with the castle and part of a land deal. But he also wanted nothing to do with it, so he let it sit until 1977, when he sold it to the Thousand Islands Bridge Authority for just $1. Now, Mr. Bolt and E.J. Noble were very good friends, and E.J. Noble knew how much the castle and Hart Island meant to him. So he also gave them 3 very strict rules that they have to follow. That is, 1, no one can ever stay in the castle because Louise never got to. 2, the castle can never exceed over 95% complete because Louise never got to see it complete. And 3, all proceeds from the castle must go back into its restoration.
It's all tour rules. People stayed overnight there.
So if you take a look over to your left, you will see a small island. That's the home with the green roof. Well, that is known as Tugboat Island. It is owned by Steve Carhart. Now, that home that you see on Tugboat Island was not built there. He had it constructed on Wellesley Island. He waited for the harsh winter months where the river freezes over, and then he towed it across the ice to his island using a tractor. No, he was a designer for the Ray-Ban sunglasses, and when he retired, he came and purchased this island because he is a very avid fisherman. But he'd be really efficient. He'd look over the side of his boat so quickly, he'd drop his Ray-Bans in the water, and they'd sink to the bottom. Well, that became very expensive for him, so he came out of retirement to start his own eyewear known as a Coyote Eyewear. And he came up with these sub-brand called bombs. They actually float, so if you were to look over the side of the boat and drop your sunglasses, they would set right on top, so you could just bend over and pick them up. And we is very good friends with the owner of Uncle Sam Boat Tours, so we do have those for sale if you'd like to check those out. And at this time, I have been talking for quite some time, so I'm going to be taking a little break here. It'd be a great time to go get yourself a snack or a beverage down in concession. I was just notified by the concession truck that while supplies last, everything down in concession, like hot dogs and pretzels, those two things, or buy one, get one. So I'm going to pick back up on the tour when we get a little bit closer to the Summerlin Island here.
Over and out to the next one, part 2 next.